forgotten the circumstances that gave birth to June 4th, 1979 and 31st December 1981. And some have deliberately spent huge resources sponsoring a distortion of history based on outright lies or half-truths, and the rendition by cowards who ran away during those heady days. The sun is up. Some of you must be hungry. We'll have to get back home to feed our families. Today's 31st. In a few hours, we'll be crossing over into next year. If the sun wasn't so hot, I would share lots of interesting stories about June 4th with you, as well as 31st December. But we'll postpone it and do that another time. For now, let me simply say that some may not want to speak openly about the truth, but there are millions alive who cannot forget the dire circumstances that this country found itself in 40 years ago, when the atmosphere was so fragile and volatile. An important lesson in history. Listen, an important lesson in our Ghanaian history is going to be lost on this nation, on this generation, because a handful of warped minds, full of hate and bitterness, are being paid to distort and cover up events in our history with color stories and lies. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1979, Ghanaians had suffered years of abuse and corruption and sought natural justice to punish some of those who were responsible for the humiliating circumstances that we suffered. Ladies and gentlemen, it will shock you to know that before and during Achampong's regime, the banking sector, especially the Ghana Commercial Bank, was plunged into unimaginable corruption. The bank served as an avenue for cronies and a particular group of people to feed fat on taxpayers' money that were used to create the resources in these banks. They fed fat on loans without adequate collateral. These so-called entrepreneurs, fake, fancy entrepreneurs, took loans, half of it into businesses, and the other half just lived a good life and never paid back their loans. Two other banking institutions, Barclays and Standard Bank, would give you a loan, and they would keep an eye on you and assist you to make sure what you intended to use the bank for, the money for, is used to enable you succeed and pay back your loan, but not Ghana Commercial Bank. You would think that bank was created for a select group of people who take loans and hardly ever pay, till the bank would almost become bankrupt and would have to be refinanced, will have to be rebailed out, will have to be recapitalized. Ladies and gentlemen, Achampong did a few good things. General Achampong decided to investigate those who had been taking loans over the years, having a good time and not paying. What did he decide to do? He was going to investigate the Ghana Commercial Bank, publish and punish, make sure such people paid back their loans or the monies. And they call themselves entrepreneurs. There are good ones and there are pretty bad ones. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what happened? Achampong set up a two-man committee to investigate the happenings within the Ghana Commercial Bank. In no time, one of them was ambushed in a part of Ghana, killed and burnt to death in his car. The other gentleman said no, he's not going to engage in this thing to be killed. A government, a military government, sets up a two-man committee to investigate those who had abused and exploited your Ghana Commercial Bank. Sorry, thank you. Had to pay with your lives. Ladies and gentlemen, Muntumugwasi. Muntie. The one who survived, believing in probity and accountability, joined the revolution and became one of our deputy governors at the Bank of Ghana. He finally had job satisfaction because integrity had returned to this country under that revolution. My prayer Asama mi kanu say how bad nyama boni bear wamuye with Ghana Commercial Bank sika. Government person Oshwemu, Achampong person investigate. Nesede, wamuku investigators no. How fraudulent. Sa akola kituwanu storia. Your friend will say, I don't mortuary. Actually, I don't or something. No, or kika kwasi asem. Entrepreneurs. Next time, make take it time. Make sure as here say you see private capital or capitalism, socialism no as here. Who how they've used Africa no. Because capitalism, America, right across to Europe, to Soviet Union, there is accountability. Africa says, capitalism. Shwanuye, in Cromford, everywhere. Rape, thievery. Now, what we see capitalism. You see socialism. Socialism, so Christians. Capitalists are here, Jesus Christ, who was a die-hard socialist. They made him their icon, son of God. And under that name, Mamudia Juma Boni. Ladies and gentlemen, now me perceive me casa too much. Into my Me canning you now. Me canning you now. Me canning you now. Yes. You, next time, wife. My prayer Yeti, sometimes politics, and it's not everything they talk about. Media, I talk about it. Mecca Bibi, maybe NPP will deny it. They intend to set up a national development bank. So National Development Bank, I bet, because they know the use to which Ghana Commercial Bank was put by a certain group of people in this country, being part and parcel of them, they monopolized it, kept quiet, and they have also decided, no, we will also establish, a national development bank under this leadership. My prayer is that if or when they do, that it will not go down serving the selfish interest of fraudulent entrepreneurs as the Ghana Commercial Bank did in those days. Now, but will rather serve the interest of deserving and genuine entrepreneurs all over this country, irrespective of whichever tribe you belong to. That is my prayer, my hope. Ladies and gentlemen, it is however unfortunate that some have chosen to siphon the negatives, leaving out the overwhelming gains made by these interventions of the people. The two interventions, 1979 and 1981, were not about Rawlings. They were the effects of the mood of the country and the mood of the people. In telling the story, the context and the circumstances cannot be discounted or overlooked. An explosion of human rage in our history meant to teach us not to treat fellow human beings with disrespect. It's been distorted by persons who lack credibility. How, therefore, can we decline to the extent of losing our morality and sense of discernment in even appreciating and identifying people of value and integrity? How can we decline so badly that we cannot recognize merit even in our universities? Ladies and gentlemen, recently at a funeral service in the Volta region, I went down on my knee out of respect to Tabiga Ado, the 8th Paramount Chief of Kliko, to seek permission to depart the ceremony ahead of time. Ladies and gentlemen, there were those who wondered who he was and why I had to kneel to him. If I believe Bedia Pele, some of our fine singers and actresses, Chaka Zulus, what do you call that friend of mine? He was a preacher. Huh? Shakawale. Oh, that one in Tema. What's that one in Tema who he punches women's stomach? Obidi. Stoneboy. David Stoneboy. Obinim. If Obinim had arrived, or any one of these people, at that funeral service, we would have recognized who they are. Sadly, when a noble person, a custodian of the spirituality and the soul of the nation arrives and takes his dignified seat, not even the senior preachers, those pastors, even recognize these noble souls. I felt so sad. I saw what happened as a reflection of what was going on in the country and has been going on for some time now. The extent to which we're losing self-respect and recognizing the noble ones amongst us. Ladies and gentlemen, what did I do? I chose the appropriate time and went to see that chief, and I knelt in his direction, knelt with him, put my hand on his knee, and I asked for his permission to leave. I wanted people to wonder who this noble man is. Ladies and gentlemen, what I found interesting that day, all the VIPs who would come in, or so-called VIPs, were being mentioned on the stage by the MC, the preachers, etc. And then, of course, they invited some young, handsome-looking preacher man in his black to come and preach the sermon. And as he approached the microphone, he beckoned to his interpreter, his translator, to join him. Then he started, oh, yeah, oh, la, 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 li, li, li. Me, I heard the voice, and I said, wow, this man has a fantastic voice, backed by his translator. So this is what somebody saw, somebody heard, and must have decided, you will be a preacher, a great preacher. So they invited him, I guess, to become a priest, feeling good, good-looking, and confident. Except, of course, I think he didn't read enough, do enough homework on the Bible, so that when he opens his mouth, he talks sense. He picked on Jesus Christ and the resurrection. This one sentence, he just kept repeating and shouting and repeating and shouting. I couldn't take it anymore. I got up and went to the chief to go and ask for his permission to leave. If the people on the stage had enough in here, I think he probably would have stopped and said, what? This man on his knee? For who? There must be somebody interesting amongst us. We have to find out who he is. If it was me, I would say, whoever you are, for JJ to go on his knee for you. We haven't seen him do this for any chief in this country. Well, I would like to invite you to share with us what wisdom lies in your heart, in your brain, for this man to go on his knee for you. That's the point I'm making. That chief came and sat down. Nobody knew who he was. And those who knew didn't think he was important enough to mention and announce him. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the custodians, I said, of the soul of this nation. Let's not toy with it. They don't carry an army to protect them. A good number of them don't have wealth. They're simple, honorable, dignified selves. That's why I used to say, maybe some of us politicians must go and live with them and learn one or two things about manners, about integrity from the ones with integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying that we have to wake up to our responsibilities as a people and give due respect to all deserving people, not only to people of high class, so-called high class, or those whose claim to respect is due to their wealth or elected offices. In the coming few weeks, I will engage our people and take us through our socio-political trajectory and unravel key historical antecedents that have shaped us as a people. Ladies and gentlemen, I intend to be brief, but it will be unfair to conclude without touching the case relating to social injustice and violation of the rights of some staff at the University of Education, Winneba, by the Becca-led council. First of all, I commend the government for their prompt intervention by laying a roadmap for the peaceful resolution of the matter after I expressed my initial concerns. From the records of IOCO and other state agencies, the affected individuals were exonerated as there was no evidence of misconduct established against them. Ironically, the current Vice Chancellor, who was indicted in the same report, still remains at post. Notwithstanding the efforts of government towards immediate resolution, no significant progress has been made after more than 3 whole months. More than 20 dismissed staff at the UEW are going through discontent and pain. I hope this important matter is given the urgency and attention that it requires. Ladies and gentlemen, I also understand there are ongoing investigations regarding the current Vice Chancellor. It will be appropriate for the Council to request that he steps aside for fairness to prevail, as has been the practice with other similar circumstances in the past. We should not allow the distortions of our history to continue. Everyone here who claims to be an adherent of the decade that stopped the socio-political decay in our country must recognize the calculated efforts to destroy the legacy that we all laid. Those who have allowed corruption to rear its ugly head and permitted it to fester want to belittle the discipline, the law, and order we introduced into this country so they can justify their corrupt tendencies. Ladies and gentlemen, the lighting of the perpetual flame and the laying of wreaths is to show reverence to all who sacrificed their lives during that difficult time in our country. Let no one downplay those sacrifices through historical distortions, twists, and utter fabrications. I didn't understand the tweet that well, but I don't know if it was General Mosquito who was talking about something that could very well be worse than June 4th and 31st. Yes, the depth of corruption, of crime today is so heavy, so deep. But some of us would say, nothing can happen. If things happen like June 4th, an explosion, during that period, so many years ago, things are much worse. We're living with it. No, there's been tension. And I suppose it's also because the mass of our people, or corruption, has eaten so deep into the fabric of the masses of our country that it has taken away that purity, that strength that we used to find at the grassroots. But that should not fool us and anesthetize us into thinking that nothing can happen. And that is why we're supposed to be drawing lessons from that period. Queen Elizabeth and her monarchy are today in England as king and queen because they learned the lesson that happened to France. France used to have kings and queens as well, Russia, etc. But the revolt cleared them all. England did not wait because they used to have the same problems, the same kind of corruption and oppression. But when it happened next door, they learned their lesson and they began to reform, to transform their society, to raise the quality of justice and freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, in our case, we don't look up to France. We must look at our own history. We've tasted it before, and it could have been much worse if we had lost control. I will talk about some of these incidents a little more in the next few weeks. So let's not take these chances. Let's reduce. Let's stop doing fraudulent things. Let's fight against corruption. That fight in itself, no matter the difficult circumstances we may be going through, provides us with an air of stability, because you can sense and smell, breathe justice. Justice in itself provides an air of stability. No matter the difficulties we may be going through. We've gone through it before. In '79, we went through it in the early '80s. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not treat fellow human beings with contempt. Let's not look down on fellow human beings. Let's treat one another with the necessary respect that we deserve. Ladies and gentlemen, let us remain strong and resolute and not allow anyone to tell our story. I thank you all for coming, and drive safely. I wish you a prosperous new year, and may God bless us all.